Thank you.
Everybody, welcome to Zoom Palestine. Sorry about that. This is my first Zoom Palestine from Jordan, and I'm very happy to be here with my wonderful friend Ihsan Bandak, who's from a very notable family of Bethlehem, who's going to talk about the experiences of his family in Nakba and under occupation. And meanwhile, I have some other videos to show you regarding the situation of the Palestinian refugees. And Jordan, as you know, is a place where many Palestinian refugees ended up. I think between 50 and 80% of the population of Jordan are descended from Palestinian refugees. So we're going to ask the question, what is a Palestinian refugee? What does that really mean? So we're going to go to our trusted Wikipedia source of all information. But this is, I'm not being sarcastic, this is a really good information that they have for us. And they note that Palestinian refugees are citizens of mandatory Palestine and their descendants who were expelled from the country over the course of the 1947 to 1949 Palestinian War and the Six-Day War in 1967, which had both of them had huge Palestinian exoduses from the country. Most Palestinian refugees live near or in the 68 Palestinian refugee camps across Jordan, Lebanon, Syria, the West Bank, and the Gaza Strip. In 2019, more than 55.6 million Palestinian refugees were registered with the UN. The term originally referred to both Arabs and Jews whose normal place of residence had been in mandatory Palestine, but were displaced and lost their livelihoods as a result of the 48 war. But 1948, the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestinian Refugees in the Near East, known as UNRWA, defined Palestinian refugees to refer to the original Palestinian refugees as well as their descendants. However, UNRWA's assistance is limited to Palestinian refugees residing in the areas of operation in territories of Lebanon, Jordan, and Syria. And as many of you may know, Trump cut off the American funds to UNRWA, which caused a great many problems. And Biden supposedly restored them, but actually he didn't, because there's still many problems. They restored them with a lot of conditions that are very difficult for Palestinians and unfair. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more statistics. During the 1948 war, around 700,000 Palestinian Arabs, or 85% of the whole population of Palestine, fled or expelled. It's an entire nation of people, 85% expelled or fled. They went to the West Bank, the Gaza Strip, and the countries of Lebanon, Syria, and Jordan. They and their descendants were also entitled to registration or assisted by UNRWA in the 59 registered camps, 10 of which were established after the Six-Day War in 1967 to cope with the wave of displaced Palestinians. They are also the world's oldest unsettled refugee population, having been under the ongoing governance of Arab states following the wars, and the refugee population of the West Bank under Israeli government since the Six-Day War, and Palestinian administration of the Gaza Strip. So citizenship or legal residency in host countries is denied. For example, in Lebanon, where the absorption of Palestinians, they were afraid would upset a delicate economic balance. But Jordan has accepted and given full citizenship to Palestinians. However, the rights are still limited. The Wikipedia article says they have the full citizenship rights, but I know from experience that's not true. They don't, not all of them. If they were born in a refugee camp, they have less rights than if they're born outside the camp. But what's interesting is on December 11th, in 1948, the General Assembly of the UN adopted the resolution which affirmed the Palestinians' right to return to their homes. So that's very important that according to the UN, that they have full rights to return to their homes. Now, all Palestinian refugees are not the same in Jordan or in other countries. So I'm going to show a couple, two examples. You have the rich refugees and the poor refugees. And the wealthy refugees with means and education became very prominent in Jordanian society. Many of the prime ministers were from, and people in parliament and leaders of industry and education were all from the Palestinian background, because the Palestinians are very, they have a culture that's somewhat different than the Bedouin culture in Jordan. The Palestinians are, actually, they used to remind me of my Jewish students. When I was teaching here in Jordan, I said, you're just like my Jewish students. They work very hard. They do more than what's expected. They have terrific support from families who all expect them to become doctors, lawyers, parliament or whatever, to get a profession. So the Palestinians value education very highly. And they're amongst some of the most educated people on the planet, and most literate people on the planet are the Palestinians. So they value education, they work hard, they have an entrepreneurial business spirit. So many Palestinians do very well, but life under occupation is terrible. So even though they may have financial security, their life is difficult, so they leave anyway. So here's a story of some well-to-do Palestinians who decided to get out.
Life in a luxurious suburb of Amman is much brighter than what Shahinda El-Kilani left behind in her native West Bank town of Hebron.
There is security, there is stability, there is no fear. My children can go out anytime without my being worried about them.
El-Kilani and her family are building a new house and a new life in Jordan. They are among the thousands of wealthy Palestinians holding Jordanian citizenship who have left the West Bank to make their homes in Amman. Palestinians make up between 50 and 80% of the population in Jordan and hold government posts. El-Kilani, like other Palestinian residents, says that while she feels comfortable here, this will never be home.
For sure, this is not our home. This is a temporary home until we return to our birthplace.
In Israel, some ultranationalists want the transfer of Palestinians to Jordan. An online petition is circulating that calls on King Abdullah to declare Jordan a Palestinian state. Israel's government has distanced itself from the petition and Palestinians reject it. Mahdi Abdelhadi is a Palestinian political analyst.
This is not accepted. This will not be done. Jordan cannot have it, will not have it, will not allow it, and the Palestinians are against it all the way. There is no Palestinian under the sun, wherever he is, will accept a substitute alternative homeland for Palestine.
Shahinda El-Kilani is disappointed in the peace process and doubts the Palestinian-Israeli conflict will ever end. But for her, hope is not dead.
We do not expect anything. At the same time, I still hope that something will come because there is a dream that something good will happen and we can return.
In the meantime, she tries to leave behind the suffering and move toward building a better future for her children on this side of the Jordan River. Luis Ramirez, VOA News, Amman, Jordan.
Okay, but that's not the only story. There are hey, hi. I'm not sure who came on. Hi. Oh, Bruce. Hi, Bruce. How are you? Nice to see you. Let me turn off this. Okay. Oh, bikinis. Okay, that's interesting. That's not what I planned. So now we're going to look at a different kind of refugee. Bruce. This is Ihsan Bandak. He's Orthodox Christian. Bruce is very active in the Orthodox Christian community. And he is Orthodox Christian, my dear friend. He's a wonderful artist. And I love the church he goes to. I have to go to your church because I love the inside of it.
I love it from inside.
It's so beautiful. Yeah, so magnificent. Yeah, so he's my first guest on Zoom Paslestine. Thanks, Bruce, for joining us. He's in New York.
Yeah.
He's from my church in New York. He's great. No, he's very active. We have an online Orthodox Christian community with this wonderful woman who analyzes the icons.
Nice meeting you, man.
Thank you.
Yeah. So now we're going to see a different kind of refugee. We just looked at the, this woman, they were wealthy enough to leave Jordan and to do well. They're living in a wealthy suburb. But that's not the only kind of Palestinian refugee. And we have people who are very
despair.
Poor.
He is 7 months behind.
Let me start it again.
Coming home fills Mohammed Abu Khalil with dread and despair. He is 7 months behind with the rent for the dilapidated apartment where he lives with his wife, 2 sons, and daughter.
I wouldn't have come back home today if it wasn't for this interview. I don't want to see the faces of my children because I cannot provide for their needs.
The family used to scrape by when Abu Khalil was able to work as a house painter. But the weak Jordanian economy has made it challenging to find jobs, even for college graduates. The family was forced to sell most of their furniture.
I'm seeing my father sad because he's not working and unable to spend money on us. And that's what's making me sad. I want a phone, a private room for myself, a closet, and a bed.
About 17,000 Palestinian refugees from Syria are here in Jordan. Most live below the poverty line and outside of camps. They receive a maximum $40 a month in cash assistance. A big chunk of that is used for rent, which they say keeps rising. The UN Relief and Works Agency for Palestine refugees used to give the entire family about $200 a month in assistance. With the United States cutting funding in 2018, as well as the lack of UN donor support, they're living on $45 a month. In the capital, Amman, that doesn't go far.
The most disadvantaged, the most vulnerable refugee group in Jordan today. Most of them have no documents that will allow them to freely move. Most of them are in fear that they may be returned back to Syria. In my view, many of the Palestinian refugees in Syria deserve to have an opportunity to be resettled to a third country.
Abu Khalil has never lived in Palestine. Although he treasures his childhood spent in Syria, he says he doesn't think it's feasible to return. He dreams of going to another country, earning a living, and giving each of his children a bed to sleep in their own room. Natasha Ganaim, Al Jazeera, Amman.
That seems
Coming
like-
home fills Muhammad
like
Abu.
a simple thing to want a bed for your children and a closet for his daughter wanted a closet. And I know and section we call Ihsan is terrible poverty. It's been a problem for the Jordanians because the Syrians work so cheap. So that the poor Jordanians were, when people wanted gardeners or wanted sort of paint a house or whatever, they used to go to Egyptians because Egyptians would do it cheaper, right, than Jordanians. Now the Syrians are doing it even cheaper than the Egyptians because it's so desperate.
This is the truth, about this point, So the Jordanians can't work anymore, There is no chance for them, and not a lot of chances for them to work.
Yeah.
So and people here, they like more the Egyptians and the Syrians,
Yeah.
They don't talk much, they work and they ask for less money, so they can get them better.
Yeah. And the Syrians have a lot of skills. A lot of the Syrians who come down are very skilled. They're well-educated, they have skills. And they're desperate, so they're very hard workers.
Very hard workers.
But
really.
this causes the problem.
And very smart, They know how to deal with people, and this is the point,
So it's but it's the refugee status. When the refugees come in, it's not only they who have the trouble, but it disrupts the entire economy. And King Abdullah, because he's a good Muslim, he believes it's the moral responsibility of Jordan to take care of the refugees. But the Syrian refugee camp is the third largest city in Jordan. That's how big it is.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah. And
so I don't know how many people there, but it's a lot of people.
Yeah, a couple million.
A couple of millions.
Yeah. It's incredible.
Yeah.
And so Jordan has a poor economy, especially with COVID. So now they've got more refugees coming continually. Syria is just still they're still running away, and it's really a terrible problem. Now I want to show. Last night, my friend Muneer Khatab, Muneer.
Yeah, I know him. Yeah.
He was staying on my terrace out here, and looking in the direction of Jerusalem, and saying, my house, my family's house is 60 kilometers from here.
Yeah.
And he was just telling me how he was getting a visa to go to South Korea. It was pretty easy to get a visa to South Korea, but he can't get a visa to go to Bethany. He said it's the city where Jesus raised Lazarus, is his family's, where his family's home is.
Yeah.
And it's really depressing for him. Ever since I met him in 2007. He's been very sad and depressed that he can't go to his family's home.
Not easy.
Yeah, so let me show you his video because I think, so what I did was I said, let me interview you for tomorrow. Wait, there's one more video I wanted to show you before Muneer. That one of the other problems that the Palestinian refugees have is that the rest of the Arab countries are not all that sympathetic to them, even here in Jordan.
No.
So the Palestinians and this is one of the reasons why Saudi Arabia made the deal with Israel, and the Gulf countries made the deal with Israel because they didn't like the Palestinians that much anyway. Why? Why don't the Gulf people and Saudis like the Palestinians?
I don't know, maybe they don't like it for so many reasons, Some of this reason, they think the Palestinians are taking over some jobs or something like that. They think the Palestinians make some deals with the Israelis, and now they don't want them to make any deals with the Israelis too. So they are talking about how the Palestinians can move from thing to thing,
Right, yeah.
And this is the point, They start not to like all the Palestinians.
Also, the Palestinians don't have a monarchy.
Exactly.
And they don't like monarchy.
Yeah, they don't like monarchy. Yeah, exactly.
So they don't want a Saudi king in charge of them.
They don't like that. So this is the point, you know.
Yeah, and when they came to
And not
Jordan,
only in Saudi Arabia, you know, in the
Yeah.
most Arab Gulf, you know.
yeah, all the Gulf countries, and also even in Jordan. Remember, they fought against the king.
Yeah,
Hussein.
long time.
That was a
But now
revolution.
it's stable, and
It's
you know,
different,
yeah, it's different completely.
But so the Palestinians present a
In
threat.
1970,
The Palestinians present a threat to
yeah.
monarchies.
The Hajj pilgrimage is a religious duty all Muslims hope to fulfill at least once before they die. It's one of the 5 pillars of Islam. Saudi Arabia is the guardian of its holiest sites, including the Kaaba in Mecca. Palestinians living in Jordan say Saudi Arabia is allowing politics to taint rituals which should be sacred.
Saudi Arabia is fighting the Palestinians and Islam at the same time.
Other Palestinians, even with a Jordanian passport, say they're being banned from visiting Saudi Arabia if they don't have a national ID number. Tour company representatives in Jordan were wary of speaking on camera because of potential repercussions in Saudi Arabia. But this operator agreed, so long as his identity was concealed.
Passports have all been rejected by the Saudi consulate. They informed us not to bring these passports again to get a visa to go to Saudi Arabia. This has negatively affected the tour companies.
The Saudi Arabian embassy in Amman refused to comment, but Palestinians are furious.
The decision represents no respect to us. They let us down. I can't find any reason or interpretation for such a decision.
More than 2 million Palestinians live in Jordan, and the Hashemite kingdom has become their second homeland. It's long been believed that Israel would like to make their stay permanent, hoping Palestinians would then forfeit their so-called right to return to Palestine.
This is a decision by Trump. It's an absolute American decision. The aim is to give the Jordanian citizenship to the Palestinians.
This is just the latest in a series of US setbacks for Palestinians, including moving the American embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. Palestinians say the eastern part of the city should be the capital of their future state. And the US government stopping hundreds of millions of dollars for Palestinian refugees from the United Nations Relief and Works Agency. Whatever Saudi Arabia's reasoning, many Palestinians and others say they should be allowed to fulfill their sacrosanct obligations as Muslims. Victoria Gatenby, Al Jazeera.
Yeah, so that's a problem, a very unfair situation for the Jordanians who can't get a visa to go on a Hajj.
Yeah, it's not
it's
easy,
really,
especially if they are Palestinians or
Yeah.
something like that. I don't know, maybe they are looking for, they don't like to, for any troubles there.
yeah.
So,
yeah.
and they are afraid from that. So they are thinking about it. But actually, a lot of people, they go.
Yeah. And a lot of my students, I remember, used to go on Hajj. So, okay, now we're going to hear from Muneer, who was over last night, and hear his story of his family in Palestine. Okay, here. And he bought me some great Yemeni rice last night, which was great. Hi, this is Muneer Khatab, a very dear friend of mine, who is standing on my terrace, which is 60 kilometers from Jerusalem, from Amman. Muneer, tell us what we would find, and he's standing in front of a picture of my painting of Rachel Pori. Muneer, tell me, what would we find in Jerusalem that relates to you?
Something. As I told you, from Amman to Jerusalem, only 60 meters. I cannot visit my father's house over there. I'm still over there, And I went to China, 19,000 of kilometers. They said, welcome. That's make me, no comment.
So where is that your house?
In Bethany.
In Bethany?
Yeah.
What part of Bethany?
Near Jerusalem, near Bethlehem, so close. That's it.
And who lived there? It was your father's house?
No, some of my aunts still catching the house, but for me, And I need a visa, and I'm not sure if I can get it, you know. That's it. But so close, I can go walking, you know.
Yeah.
But no way.
Now, how long has your family had that house in Jerusalem?
No, it's from my grandfather, the land over there. And my father's house was built in the 1930s.
What part of Jerusalem is it in?
What part of what?
Jerusalem, is it? Is it in East Jerusalem?
Yes, East Jerusalem. It's, you know something, Jerusalem, with the wall, there is around 18 villages around. One of them, Bethany, this is my roots over there.
You hope one day to be able to go there?
I wish now if I get somehow easy to go, I will go walking.
You will walk there?
Yeah.
Right, you have to swim across the Jordan. Do that. All right, well, thank you, Muneer. Thank you, Muneer, and I'm sorry it's easier for you to get to China than 60 kilometers to Jerusalem. Thank you.
Thank you.
Inshallah. Bye.
Thank you. There is a church. There is a church. I don't know, is it Orthodox or something? Anyhow, you know, the wall between the church, which is Ali Azar, has been died over there.
That's Lazarus.
And my grandfather land, only there is a wall between them, a never.
Wow. Very sad. So now what I do is I ask him to talk a little bit more about the. I didn't realize it was Lazarus when he was telling me about the place. I didn't realize that it was. I forgot about that Lazarus had came from there. So let me. He did a little explanation about Lazarus, which was very interesting.
The name of the guy that Jesus cried, make him life again.
Oh, Lazarus.
Yes.
Ah, Lazarus.
Okay.
That's right, Lazarus.
The area have a lot of names.
They were from Bethany.
In Arabic, Al-Azariya belong to Al-Azar. Okay. Bethany, the original name, Beit Ania. Okay, this is the place where I'm talking about.
Where Lazarus came. I remember it was Bethany, right?
The place that Jesus cried, catch this dead guy or man, and he brought him to life again.
And that's where your family's land is.
Only a wall between them.
Wow. What's the story about
Al-Azar? The name of the guy that Jesus cried, make him life again.
Oh, Lazarus.
Yes.
Ah, Lazarus.
Okay.
That's right, Lazarus.
The area have a lot of names.
They were from Bethany.
In Arabic, Al-Azariya belong to Al-Azar. Okay. Bethany, the original name, Beit Ania. Okay. This is the place where I'm talking about.
Where Lazarus came. I remember it was Bethany, right?
The place that Jesus cried, catch this dead guy or man, and he brought him to life again.
And that's where your family's land is.
Only a wall between them.
Wow. What's the story about
Al-Azar?
Okay, so in the background you can see the King Abdullah Mosque, the minarets, and then across it is the Orthodox Church. So we're very lucky in Jordan because we have such good relations between the Muslims and Christians. So now we have our wonderful Ihsan Bandak to talk to us a little bit in person. Ihsan, I met him, was it 2010 when you came to? Yeah, in 2010, we had a painting teacher who left our school, and so we hired Ihsan Bandak. I think Ali Maher recommended him.
Ali Maher and another person, I can't remember, but Ali Maher.
Ali Maher, and anybody Ali Maher recommended, I knew was going to be terrific. And he turned out to be a fabulous painting teacher. And he has a great gallery in Jordan, near Seventh Circle, where I had an exhibit, and he has a school there. And we turned the local Jesuit, Father John, who's going to come by and visit us in a few minutes. Ihsan turned this Jesuit priest into an artist, because the Jesuit, Father John he was new in Jordan. He was like bored, or I don't know, whatever, freaking out.
We enjoy it with him.
So he said, I said, why don't you take some art classes? It'd be good therapy for you.
Yeah, it was something.
And so I said, I know a guy, he has
and now he's a real something.
He's a very good artist.
Yeah, he's a very good artist.
He posts his stuff all the time.
Yeah, I can see he's improving a lot, and he can do a lot of nice work, original pieces. He's thinking about everything, spaces, coloring, the project he did. He's something, now.
He's really talented.
He's really talented, and I like his office. I like the way he's showing his pieces, and it's something. I'm happy for him.
So, but you're the one.
He spent a lot of time with me, and it was something. I am happy for him.
Yeah, well, so Ihsan is an extremely gifted artist, and he posts his paintings. I don't know how you get the energy to do the work. He does these large, energetic, expressive paintings full of colors and forms, and they're both figurative and abstract.
I was spending like around 15 hours a day, between my studio and my gallery. And teaching art is something. Every day you teach art, you get better, and you can see the nice people, and you feel the people with every day I'm facing like 10 new ideas, and 10 new people. So this is something for me. Even I certificate with art or something like that, but still when you teach, you can see a lot of things more with a lot of ideas.
That's why I miss my teaching, because I always get inspired.
Yeah, this is really something. When you teach, that's help. Even I am a professional or artist, but still getting a lot of things from people and teaching. And this is good.
No, your art is amazing. And I'd like to do a session before I leave Jordan on just you and your art, and talking about your art.
We can.
Maybe we can,
last year, last 2 years, here, I did a lot of new.
I know, I saw it on Facebook all the time.
And I get the certificate last time, one of the best. My painting was the best in Philadelphia University.
Oh, well, yes.
They pick it as the best piece.
Mabruk. Congratulations.
Thank you, Jackie. And they pick it as the best piece. So it's something good about, and I'm selling now much better, So I'm working hard with my art, and I'm happy.
We're going to get you in New York for show in New York. I'm working on it. That's one of the things I'm here.
I should show you my last pieces. I've been working hard for the last 2 years.
Well, I'm coming to the gallery.
You are welcome anytime, Jackie, and you've been very helpful for me. All the time.
Well,
and thank you for
you. You've been helpful with me, man. He gave me exhibit. He brings me canvases to paint. He's been a really good friend. But anyhow, so let's talk about Bethlehem. Your family has been in Bethlehem how long?
Around like more than 250 years. And some people thought that we came from Yemen, going through the Saudi Arabians and something like that to Palestine and to Syria and to Jordan here. But most of them, they stay in Bethlehem, because Bethlehem being like a city, Christians, and the church there and everything, and they start from there. And my family become one of the biggest family in Bethlehem. It's like just around 50 years ago, my family being like half of Bethlehem. Bandak, it was half of Bethlehem city at that time. But a lot of people from my family now moving all over, some to Jordan, some to South America, some to America, North America and Europe. So it become like getting smaller a little bit. But I still have a lot of my family.
How did you come to Jordan from?
My father, he's a journalist, and he moved from Palestine in 1952 to Cyprus, and he been like a general manager for the radio there.
Why did he move to Cyprus?
For work.
4.
Yeah, and him and my mother spent like 2 or 3 years there. So they start their life from there. And after that, they get back to Jordan and they start working with the government here. And he's been very well known name here in Jordan. And he used to write in the biggest 2 magazine newspapers in America, the New York Times and the other one I can't remember. But he's very he's good in English and he's excellent in Arabic too. And he graduated from the best school in Jerusalem. In Jerusalem at that time, because not anyone can go there, except the first or the second from any city or any village in Palestine. They can go to that school, Al-Rashidiyya, and still very well known name.
Who ran
in
that
Palestine.
school? Who ran
My
that
dad. I don't know who ran that school, but that school was one of the best and biggest school in Palestine at that time.
And Palestine had many, many schools. The Quakers were active there from the 1860s, I think.
Yeah.
And what I was surprised was that Palestine had 2 symphony orchestras,
Yeah.
4 string quartets. The Quakers had brought a high quality of education
Very high
and culture to Palestine.
culture.
So that's one of the reasons that Palestinians are so well educated. Their schools are so good.
So he graduated from that. He was lucky to graduate from that. And he did, in 1964, they gave him the gold key of New Orleans in the United
New Orleans,
States. Yeah.
wow.
And we still have it here.
Wow.
And they asked him if he wanted to be an American citizen, but he refused at that time. And that was his big mistake. So he liked to be here, more. He's, like Jordan, to be very close from Palestine and from the Arab country. So this is his way. And he spent
Now,
a lot of his time here.
how did your family do during the Nakba?
The Nakba, my mother, when she left Bethlehem, they told her she would be back after 1 week. And she believed them.
Where did she go? Where did she go?
She did go to Lebanon and Syria.
Okay.
And from that time until she died, she
never went
she
back.
never went back to Palestine. And she was very close to Palestine. Even if she fly to Italy or to any place in the world, she will tell her husband, we are going back to Bethlehem.
Yeah.
She forgot that she is out of Bethlehem since a long time.
So she was never allowed
She keep
to
talking
return.
about Bethlehem all the time.
Yeah.
Because she spent her first 20 or 22 years in Bethlehem, and it's not easy for her
So
to
why
forget.
did people leave? Why did she leave Bethlehem?
Bethlehem, it was no work, at all, and it's not easy.
So the soldiers come into Bethlehem?
The
and-
soldiers come to Bethlehem 1967. But before that, it was not easy for her husband to work or to live or something like that. It was really tough. So they start thinking how to leave Bethlehem. But I know after 1967, they pushed them to leave.
They pushed them out,
They pushed them out, and it was not easy to stay in Bethlehem.
But she left her house there. Her house was
Yeah, and still there.
Uh-huh.
Because the city of Bethlehem is lucky still, and it is like under the occupations, and still the house, and we got it now.
You still have that, your
Yeah, we
house?
still have it. Me and my brother, my sister, we still have that house. It's a small house, but it's a really nice house.
But the situation in
But I
Bethlehem
should
has
talk
become
to you.
worse.
I should talk to you about her father, one of the richest man in Bethlehem.
Yeah.
He built a big building near Jerusalem, an area called Al-Baqa. And exactly after he finished the 4 floors and half, the Jew took over and asked him to move to Bethlehem. So he spent like a month after that, and he died by a
Heart attack.
Yeah,
Stress,
because he
probably.
can't take it.
It's stress.
He
yeah.
can't take it because
Yeah.
it's not. He spent most of his money in that building. And that
Then he
building,
lost it.
my cousins visit there,
Yeah.
and there is a people from Poland, and they told they are telling we can do nothing. You know, they move us from there and they bring us to here and they give us these houses, so
Yeah.
we can do nothing
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah.
And this is one of the sad story.
Yeah. Well, there's you know, there was a good film. I forget what it was called. Something Spice that we saw in the Brooklyn for Peace group,
Yeah.
Palestinian film. I think we showed it also on Zoom Paslestine. I forget the exact title.
Yeah.
But pomegranates and something or other. Anyway, that was the part of the story. The girl who was Palestinian from Brooklyn decided to go back to Palestine to the house that her family had.
Yeah.
And what was interesting, the Jewish settler who was in the house was kind of pro-Palestinian and very liberal.
Yeah.
And she said, "Oh, come in, let me show you around." She offered them hospitality.
Yeah.
And she said, "But I can't give you back the house."
Yeah. This is the point, you know. This is the point, and you know that's what happened to my family there.
Yeah,
And
but
after that, they stay in Bethlehem. You know, most of them they are in Bethlehem, and they still have houses and everything. It's okay.
but isn't the situation in Bethlehem now getting worse?
You know, the situation in Bethlehem is like the price is getting high and high and high. The buildings and the land and something like that.
Yeah.
But the people there, they love to buy from here, from their houses. You know, they are buying land, they are staying, but the work is weak.
Yeah.
And not a lot of work, but still they believe they will do something for Bethlehem. They can. You know, Bethlehem
They're
is
not
part
giving
of
it
the-
up. They're not giving it up.
Yeah, they are not giving it up. You know, but some things we should tell. You know, most of the Christians family are moving. You know?
Yeah.
And the point is, in Bethlehem now, the percentage of the Christians is less than 10%.
10% it used to
Yeah.
be. It used to be like 50-50.
No,
Wow.
yeah, it's between 10 and 20
Wow.
around Bethlehem.
I knew they were moving out when you introduced me to the woman from the hospital.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I did that program on Christmas.
Okay.
Remember the program?
Yeah, but this is the point.
She
you
was
know.
talking about how difficult it was getting
Yeah.
and that people were starting to move out. The Christians
But
were
this is
starting
bad,
to
you
move
know,
out.
because this is, you know, this is truth, you know. And some other parts of Palestine, the Christians is not more than 1%, 1.5%.
Yeah, moving out.
Yeah, they are moving out. You know, a lot of they have relatives all over the world, and if they have a chance to leave, they will go.
Yeah.
And this is bad for them.
But I think Israel has built more walls also. They've expanded the settlement in Bethlehem.
Yeah, you know, very close from Bethlehem, there's a wall, and my cousin's factory. It's just 5 meters from the wall. And just few years ago, before that wall, they asked for that land. They paid 10 million JD for this land. Now, after the wall become very close from that land, the land become less than 1 million.
Wow.
Yeah, because nobody can buy land
With a wall.
with a wall 5 meters far from that. Nobody.
Yeah.
So the wall, you know, make a lot of people angry, and they think it's like they have land just next to this wall. This land goes down with the price. And
So the
everything
walls
else.
not only prevent people from traveling,
Yeah.
but it diminishes the value.
Yeah, the
of
value
the
it's
property
become like
because
nothing. You
nobody
know,
wants a
nobody
piece of land with a
will.
wall
Yeah,
on it.
will invest 5 meters just from the wall or something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
And I also heard that they put a new wall up that stopped that Palestinians can't travel directly to Jerusalem on the road.
Yeah, you have to go all the way, maybe 2 hours more driving until you get to the place you want.
Yeah.
Before it was maybe 5 minutes just to cross that.
Yeah.
But now you have to go all around a lot of places before you go to the place you want to go to it. So a lot of people they think twice before they travel from place to place. or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah. And especially with gas prices going
With
up.
gas prices, they don't want to face any trouble or something like that. So they do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And what about I also heard that they made restrictions on tourists, that the Palestine of Bethlehem makes its money off of tourism, much of it. And they've restricted the tourism. They're only allowing the tourist bus to stop like for 20 minutes before. I mean, I was shocked when I saw the main street in Palestine.
They
It's
don't.
full of shops
They
and
tell
everything.
the tourists before they go to Bethlehem not to stay in Bethlehem.
Yes, they're not letting them stay.
Yeah,
in
because
Bethlehem.
it is. They will tell them that it is dangerous or something like that, and you might be in trouble. So come back to Israel, and there you can be safe.
Spend your money in Israel.
But a lot of tourists, they don't believe in that now anymore, and they think Bethlehem is more safer than the other places.
Yeah.
And the government, they're taking care of this tourist because they know there is a good money from these people. So they should take care of it. Like my cousin's hospital, hotel in Bethlehem before Corona, it was working like 25 hours a day and it's always full. Now, since that time, in last 2 years until now, it's open. It's nobody, and it's almost closed. There is 2 restaurants working only, and the rest of the rooms is all closed.
There are also a lot of art galleries in Bethlehem. I was surprised at all the galleries.
There is a good art galleries. I did the show.
Did you do a show there? Great.
Yeah.
The one I connected you to.
The one I told you about.
I went.
And she's a good woman. She did sell well, and she's a nice. And there's still 17 pieces there.
Excellent.
We should go there to get them. But everything is okay. There is like 2 or 3 professional galleries there in Bethlehem. And there is a good art school there too. They're starting that. I think the people are doing very well.
University, a good university.
Good university, and a very good university.
I met some.
And there's an art school. There is they teach art and everything is fine. So I think the people are doing very well. So I don't know. Surviving. So we don't know how much they can take it.
Well, the settlement is grown.
Grown a lot. They're taking most of the land. And because this is the point. After 10 years from now, there is more land for to build a Palestinian state.
There's no land.
There's no land to build any real estate, in the West Bank, So this is the big problem. Unless these people will leave from that.
No, I doubt the settlers.
No way. They are because this is very important for Israel to get bigger and bigger, and this is the point, So,
and if you have a single state solution, under the law they just passed that only Jews would have the full citizenship and Christian and Muslims would have secondary citizenship.
Of course, secondary or more, less than that,
But Biden just went there, he was in Bethlehem.
Yeah, I know him. I did see him. But I don't like the way he talked about the situations. He thought it's still far from to get these 2 states or something like that.
He said
that meaning if it is far, that's going to be another 20 or another 10 or 20 years from now.
Occupation.
Of occupation. So after that, it will be like impossible to have a state.
It's Swiss cheese. It's like this,
So I don't like the way he did talk, maybe. And even, President Abbas, because his age is like, he's talking tough to him. And they think, he should live this life with something good he was going to do before that. So this is the point now. He doesn't care much if they get angry about him or not,
Abbas doesn't care.
Doesn't care at all. Now, he wants to leave this the president of Palestine, with something good in his pocket. And, this is the point. So Abbas was really a little bit angry about this.
With Biden.
With Biden. Because Biden did nothing, actually, to show the Palestinians that there is something good.
And also, he refused to meet with Shireen's parents. The journalist who was killed, their family wanted to meet with Abbas.
With Abbas.
And Biden wouldn't meet with them.
No, just
He wanted to meet with
yeah,
Biden.
with Biden, but
He wouldn't meet with them, which I think is very bad, you know.
because he don't want to face anything.
Well, he wants to get reelected and he needs a Jewish lobby behind him. So if he does anything
Now,
to,
re-elected
again,
for his age is
yeah, but he's planning on running again.
really
Yeah, yeah. So,
still
he-
time.
and so he thinks if he has the pro-Jewish Zionists in America behind him, then he can get reelected. But if he does anything to offend them,
No, of course,
then he's not going to get
he's not
reelected.
going to get
This is the problem in
one more
America,
time.
you know, with
So now he's in Saudi Arabia. Today he's in Saudi
Saudi
Arabia.
Arabia, yeah, pumping hand fisting with Muhammad and the murderer.
You see that? Did
Yeah,
you
I
see
saw
that?
that murderer.
Yeah, and,
Like, he should like cut
yeah.
off his
He
head
want-
when he
yeah,
comes
he wants
home.
to tell the American people that he didn't shake hands with them. And this is funny, you know.
It's just, he should still have his hand cut off.
Yeah.
Well, so what do you think is a future solution?
Yeah, the future is very foggy. Yeah, you know, even the professional politician people now can't tell about this future. We don't know what's going on exactly around the world, even not in this region, but even around the world. You know, a lot of things that we don't understand it exactly.
Are you afraid of Iran?
No.
I didn't think so.
Yeah.
A few people in Jordan,
No.
although I know, like one of my
Well,
old
you know,
taxi
I
cab
think,
drivers,
you know,
he had said it's the duty of a good Muslim to kill a Shiite, you know,
Yeah.
because he's Sunni and most of the Muslims in Jordan are Sunni, but he, you know, he comes from a rural village outside Madaba and he says,
Yeah.
oh, Iran, it's a duty of a good Muslim, a good Sunni to kill a Shiite because
Yeah.
they don't like it. But the rest of my Jordanian friends don't care about Iran.
No, don't care about it.
they're not
They don't
afraid.
think there is any danger from Iran, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
coming to Jordan.
Yeah, yeah,
And they think this is only an, you know, it's not true,
yeah.
actually. And they will not invite Jordan or, you know, attack Jordan or anything, you know, for sure. You know, this is the point, you know, people here in Jordan, the religion people, yeah, they don't like. They don't like the Shia and they don't
Religious,
like
yeah.
Iran and something like that. But the educated people, you know, they understand that Iran is not that bad, you know,
Yeah.
in this time.
Yeah.
In this time, it's not that bad. So they are taking
Well, you know, I don't know if you know, but Azuni went to a trade fair, an Iranian trade fair,
yeah.
and he posted very beautiful crafts, arts and crafts things from Iran. It was in display at some gallery over at Medina, Medina Circle, whatever it was.
Yeah.
I forget the name of the gallery, but they had a big Iranian trade fair. So there's like a good rapport. And I know there were trips, a lot of traveling. People go on tours to Iran. I almost went a couple of years ago.
They called me this year twice and they want me to go to Tehran.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very beautiful.
Yeah, but I told him I told them, you know, my health and you know I can.
Well, Corona.
Corona and
Yeah,
something
yeah,
like that.
yeah.
So they thanked me, and you know I thank them. They have been
Yeah.
nice people.
But there's a lot of trade and travel,
Yeah.
tourism, and
Yeah. And you know
between
they are
Jordan-
open-minded. You know.
Yeah,
And this is the point. You know, this is scare a lot of the other people. You know.
yeah,
Not like us or they talk and they understand, and if there is something wrong, they can talk about it or
well,
something
the
like that.
ancient Persians, I mean, you know,
Yeah.
they're very bright, they have a different
Very
culture.
bright, you know, different cultures, you know, and you
Yeah.
know, they are tough really, but you know, they can understand every situation, you know,
Yeah,
and they talk like quietly. And this is very important, you know, when people talk quietly, then people they are thinking what they are doing, you know. And this is something.
and Jordanians don't always talk quietly.
No.
There's a lot of yelling and screaming.
No, we always, we fight always and for nothing.
Well,
Yeah.
thanks, Ihsan. Thanks
You
so
are
much. It was
welcome.
very.
And happy to be with you,
stuff.
Jackie, and
Yeah, it's
your
good to be back.
guest. And
Yeah, well, Bruce, thanks for hanging in, and
I have one question.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
It just occurred to me sitting here. Do any Jordanian Orthodox Christians ever go to visit the Greek Orthodox Patriarch of Antioch, who is in Damascus? I happened to get to meet him a few years ago at St. Vladimir's Orthodox Seminary here in Yonkers. He gave a lecture one day, and before he became the Greek Orthodox Patriarch of Antioch there in Damascus, he was the dean of the Orthodox School of Theology at Amman University in Lebanon. But I just wonder, is there any going back and forth, at least of the Christian population from Jordan to anything happening in Damascus? I don't know quite what I'm asking. I just wondered.
Most of the Christian people here, the Orthodox, they like to, they're visiting Damascus a lot. And they are visiting that church, and they believe that church is very important for them to see and to pray there. So they are not, they are not afraid from the regime there. They are not now. They are not afraid to travel because it is quite safe. And before the 11 years passed, a lot of Christian people, they go like every week once, sometimes twice a month or something like that to visit Damascus, and they feel safe there. Really, believe me, they feel very safely. And I did not hear any Christians put him in trouble or anything, you know. And this is the truth about the regime in Syria. Let us say that, you know, this is the truth about that. They believe in these people. They believe they are nice people, and they visit all the churches without any problems at all.
Well, they never bother the Christians.
They never bother the Christians at all.
Yeah.
And this is something good about Syria. Yeah.
So but wasn't there there was some tensions with the Greek control of the church, right? Because the Jordanians, from what I remember reading, and some of the other Arabs, they wanted to, and in Jerusalem, they wanted to have an Arab patriarch. They wanted to get away, to not be directly under the Greeks all the time, but they preferred to have a local control, you know.
Yeah, this is maybe the truth. Yeah. I hear about this, you know, you are right, you know. But you know, in Palestine or in the West Bank, the Orthodox Christians is, but you know how many percentage of from the whole Christians? 60.
Wow.
Yeah, 60.
60%.
Yeah, 60% from the all Christians. Yeah, Orthodox, Rome Orthodox, following the church in Greece and Russia.
And Russia.
Yeah. And this is the truth, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, they own a lot of land, they own a lot of places, they own, you know, under the Orthodox Church in Palestine and in the West Bank.
There was a big fight with Israel because the Orthodox.
Yeah, there is a guy, you know,
the Orthodox, the Israelis took over an Orthodox hotel.
But that's not that problem, you know. But still, a lot of places controlling by the Orthodox Church in Bethlehem, in Jerusalem, maybe in North Palestine or something like that. But a lot of churches are controlling by the church of the Orthodox Church in Palestine.
But they have problems with
and
the
I asked,
Israelis.
they have problems with the Israelis. And I asked this question: how many percentage are they? They told me 60.
60% of the
60% of them. I was surprised, you know, and
me too.
but because it is, you know, it's number 60%, like
But I know that a lot of the Orthodox priests have had problems where people spit at them, call them names, their tires are slashed. When the Orthodox Christians, they have a lot of problems.
Especially the guy is, what's it, his name is, I can't remember what his name. He's always against, he's with the Palestinians all the way, and he's with the Arab all the way, and he's fighting for them Even he's fighting for the Muslim people there. So he's a strong guy, and he's always talking about the Palestinian problem on the television or on the channels. So the people of Palestine, Christians or Muslims, are really, they understand each other.
Yeah.
I think more than any other Arab country.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, they are open-minded and they are like really very close friends together.
Yeah, here in Jordan,
and they live together. So
And
this
you
is,
think this has always been, if you go back, before you go back 100 years, same, huh?
yeah, I think
Yeah,
so. Yeah.
But also before the Zionism, it was Jewish same like this. Before the Zionism, also the Jewish was close or more distant?
Close.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
I think
my
so.
dad told me
In Tiberia,
that
they
Jew
said it was
close.
like family.
And they've been really close. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
Ralph Abu Jabba in his
Yeah.
book, he said in Tiberia it was like family. They call each other like family, you know.
Yeah, like family. And
But
they've
they
been
didn't
friends with
used
each
to even
other.
ask the religion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't even used to ask.
Yeah,
the
you are
religion.
right. You know, my dad told me about this whole story, you know, and he told me we've been working all together, you know, long time ago. But after the invasion, it's a different story, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah.
I wish I answered him in this question.
I hope you. Do you have any other question, Bruce?
No, thank
Welcome
you.
welcome to Powij and Amir Malik. The King is watching on Facebook Live. I have it both on Facebook Live and on Zoom,
okay.
so people pop in. And yeah, well, we'll be talking to you again this summer.
Okay, thank you very much,
But
Jackie.
thank you very much.
Dr. Jackie, and you know, and your friend.
Thanks,
Nice
Bruce.
meeting you.
Is it hot in New York now?
Not too bad today. It's hot, but not too bad today. Yeah.
Yeah. Jordan has been very nice, very cool. At night, I'm going to get a sweater to put on because it's really, I sleep under blankets and I haven't needed an AC or anything. It's been really wonderful. So the weather, we've been lucky, but Europe is very hot.
Very hot.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Some places in Europe, 40 degrees.
Yeah.
And Diana,
It's
my
been raining here all day. Monday is raining all day.
Oh, yeah.
Here
Yeah.
on Monday.
Well, Diana has something to say about
Okay.
the situation.
Thank you. Thank
Okay,
you so much.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
everybody.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Everybody, see you next week.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye. Wassalam.
Thank you.
Okay,
Nice one.
yeah,
You finished?
yeah.